Alright, next up we have this lovely concoction. We'll do this one and also the version that has an extra set of these bumps further out here. We can get them out of one base model here relatively easily, so we'll create them together. Oops, looks like I left the logo in there. We'll have to remove that when we do this here for real. Alright, so I'm going to start here. Go ahead and hide that one. You can have it there for reference should we want, but we're just going to start off with a base of one of these guys. Now, working with these pieces, if you're going to start to bridge pieces together, one piece together with another piece, this can cause some real issues in that we have all these nicely defined loops and things. Sometimes it's better to just build things from scratch, but sometimes it's good to save time. So we're going to look at some time-saving strategies here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this whole middle section, and I kind of want to prep this to be able to duplicate it. And oops, sorry, I get one step ahead of myself. Before I even do that, I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it back 4 millimeters so that we're kind of centered up, or we will be centered up once we create the additional geometry here. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to select just this middle section, shift up arrow once, and cut out that. So now we've got this open facing side. And now when we go ahead and mirror this, Shift V, mirror tool, we're going to get a really nice clean bridge attachment there. So if we just try to bridge this without removing that, it's going to try and put the polygons together. And because the polygons run in these strips that will run off in towards the middle here that we were using to sharpen up our edges down there, that'll cause us some real problems. Alright, so next thing here is we're going to take and we're going to delete this whole inner section here on this one because we're not going to need that. So I'm going to select this loop and cut it. Then I can go ahead and just double click on that inner one and get rid of it entirely. And with these pieces here, we're going to cover a significant amount of techniques for filling up holes, because a lot of times you'll want to remove geometry and kind of flatten out and give a nice even hole where it was, and so we're going to look at how to do that in a few different instances here. So what I want now is to go to edge mode, and I'm going to select just the bottom edge. Make sure I just got one. Oops, looks like I've still got 2 edges selected there. There we go. Get rid of that one. Okay, and then I'll select the same one on the other side here. Make sure I'm only at 2 edges. There we go. I could alternately select the loop and then deselect the parts around there. We'll do that on another one here. But let's go ahead now and bridge these together. And I'm going to start just with a plain flat bridge. And oh, we're out of sub-D mode here. Probably want to get back in that. It will make it easier to make some of our selections. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we need to divide this polygon up how this is so that we can get a nice even attachment there. And the first thing that we'll have to do to get that is the tight loop slices that run around the edges. That would be this one right here. So I'm going to run loop slice, count of 2, symmetry, and oops, it's already set to 2%, so that's perfect. Now what I need to do is I need to divide this up the way that that center part is. And this is actually divided into 3 sections that are each divided into 3. And the middle section has been squeezed a little tighter. I'm not going to worry about, well, actually, maybe I will worry about doing that squeezing here just to make it a little bit cleaner. So I'm going to set this first one, I believe it was 43% is what we used. And now I'm just going to grab very carefully these 2 edges and these 2 edges. Make sure I have 4 edges selected, which I do. Perfect. And so now I'm going to run uniform slices through that one. And here, I'm going to run uniform slices through this one. All right, so now this gives me a good jumping off point to create this geometry. So let's go here and oops, double click on that one. And what we'll want to do here is deselect just the, well, let me see here. What am I looking at? Yeah, I think what we'll want to do is I'm going to bridge. And I apologize, I did this slightly different than I had done it before, and I actually like this way a little bit better. So I'm going to deselect the edges that run around the bridge there. And now I'm going to bridge these together. And then I will run a loop slice up along there. I've got 2 there, but I'll just go ahead and delete one of them. So let's go up to 2% or 2-ish%, and we'll use 2. Good. So then we'll delete this inner one here, and now I've got just a real easy spot to bridge. So let's deselect the end and the end. We'll run bridge, and that part's set. Should have had my symmetry on. We'll do symmetry on the other side. So again, deselect my top and my bottom, run bridge, and we're set. So it's getting a nice clean division here. So do the same thing here. I'm going to deselect all of this stuff on the edges, and then we're going to go ahead and bridge that. Run a loop slice. Oops, helps if I hit the hotkey, loop slice, and we'll remove this edge here. And now let's go ahead and turn on our X symmetry. So I only have to do this once on this one. Deselect the end cap there, the end cap there. Again, run bridge, and now we've adequately filled up the hole in the bottom here. Okay, so now we just need to get a taper along this part, and then we need to hollow it out here on the top so that these parts can attach down in. So before I do anything else here, I'm just going to select these areas here, and I'm just going to cut and paste them back in. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut, and I'm going to need them in a new layer here in a minute anyway, so I'll go ahead and just paste them into an empty layer. Okay, and we're also going to need to get rid of this section here in the middle. So I think, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out now, and we can fix it up later. Now I'm going to unsubdivide because I want to have kind of a ridge that runs around here. There's a little ridge that's about half the height of a brick here, and it's about, or let's see, it's even half, not even half. It's about 0.8 millimeters. We're going to use 0.8 because I have a direct number on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run Shift C, which is my slice tool. Sorry. First I'm going to select this outer loop because I only want to slice through this. I don't need to slice through the other stuff. And I'm going to run this, and I'm going to start just by dragging it through here and kind of eyeballing it. And then I'm going to set, oh well, 8.8. Looks like I nailed it. On the Y height, because the full height here is 9.6, so if we subtract 0.8, it's going to put us at 8.8, and that's looking just about right. It's actually falling right between the inner edge here and the top edge, which is just where we want it. And now if we subdivide, obviously that's going to swim, and that's why we're doing it out of subdivision. It's going to make it a lot easier to get a good bead on what we're looking at. Alrighty, so now let's get to this side view here. Now what I want to do is go to vertex mode, and I'm just going to lasso select everything right up to and including the actual axis there. So I'll leave this one here because we don't need to touch that one. And now I'm going to run a linear fall off, and I want this to go along the Z. So I'm going to activate my move tool first, and then I'm going to click on Z here. And then what I'm going to do, whoops, I'm going to invert that first of all. Reverse that, so it's going the right way. And I'm just going to drag, losing my mind, deselect that. There we go. I'm just going to drag this bottom part up. Oops, let's reverse that again. And I'm going to drag it up to where it gets just pretty close to this. I'd like to go the full 8.8, but if I do exactly 8.8, it's going to run into vertices that are in the exact same point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go near 8.8, 8.7 maybe, so it leaves a little bit of space, and then that will give me the ability to send through a loop slice without just really flattening out my geometry. So now if I tab, actually that's coming out relatively sharp, but still not quite what we're looking for rigidity. So what I'm going to do here is select these edges here, run loop slice, and we only need one of these, so I'm going to delete the top one. And let's go over and have a look at this in our unwireframe view. That looks like that's working out really well. Yep, okay, Good deal. So now we're ready to go ahead and create the interior of this. We're going to bridge the top section much like how we did the bottom side here. So I'm going to select everything here, and there are always a couple different ways you can do it. In this case, I'm just going to deselect these sides here. That will give me less to have to worry about. And then I'm going to go ahead and bridge this together. And I'm typically just going to bridge, sorry, let's turn my fall off. Typically just going to bridge with a single division here, unless I know I have even subdivisions, because if I use subdivisions on this, that's fine, but I don't have any control over the spacing over them. They're just there. So I'm just going to leave it here, and then I can use my loop slices to give me my additional geometry. And if I look here, I can see, that I got 1, 2, 3 edges here. So actually, this was probably the quicker way to go. So I'm going to go ahead and just click the uniform button, and looks like I may have some duplicated geometry there. Let's back up. I think what I did is I accidentally ran the tool twice. Let's try this. There we go. For some reason I ran that bridge tool twice. Be careful that you don't do that. Obviously, it's easier to not do that when you're not trying to talk about it while you do it. So let's go ahead, and I do have symmetry on, so I'm going to go ahead and bridge this, and we're set. So now I need to lower this section and get it into place. So select that middle section, shift up arrow twice, and just like we did on the bottom sections when we move this, I'm going to bevel, click, and go right to my move tool. Let's turn off my symmetry here. And what I'm looking for on this here, let's get ourselves unsubdivided before we continue. What I'm looking for is an even amount of spacing between the outer edge here and then this inner edge, so that there will be room for these to go in. And really, that's exactly how this piece works here too. So I'm going to go to my scale tool and scale in, so I'm right in between. Same thing this way. And again, remember, if you've got a 2-to-1 ratio on width to height, and you're going to scale and you want even buffer or even border around the edges, you want to kind of look at your one that's twice as wide being about twice the amount of scaling as this one. So this one was 12%, that was 24%, and that's looking just about right all the way around the edges. But if you're getting close and you know that you do have that 2-to-1 ratio, you can eyeball it to a certain extent and then check your numbers here, and you should be real close. So if you happen to be at like 76.5, personally I'd take it down and make it exactly half, so that you know you're getting a nice even ratio. Alright, so now let's bevel again, click, and I'm just going to drag it down. Oops, looks like I have some snapping on. I'm going to move this down just a little bit here. We move it down to where that lip is, so we'll go to 0.8. That'll work. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and run, again, a linear fall off. Again, we want this on the Z. This time we want it to go in towards the middle. And we're just going to drag, there we go. So I'm just going to drag this one down. And we won't have an even, like 6.4, well, actually, that's looking pretty even. 6.4, if you've done this correctly, sorry, I'm thinking of another piece. If you've done this correctly, then you'll have the even amount of taper, because the distance from here to here is 6.4. So if we just taper along that and pull it down 6.4, we should have nice and even spacing. So I'm going to drop that. I'm going to run loop slices around the edges there. Oops, set that at 2%. And let's go ahead and hit our subdivision key and see what we have. Looks like we've got just the need for one more loop slice around here. Oops, let's turn our fall off. And we probably won't need it around this outer edge. I'll double check here. Actually, guess we do. Perfect. So there's all of our interior structure created there. And now we're just ready to insert these pieces and stick them in there. So let's go over to our other mesh here, and we'll go to our quad view. And I just want to select, let's go to vertices, and I just want to select this bottom edge, and I'm including that little lip that's in there. And I'm going to turn my snapping to geometry, constrain to background. I'm just going to drag this down. We'll see it snap in there, and that works pretty nicely. Now, before I actually go ahead and attach these here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this mesh layer here, and I'm going to duplicate it because we're going to want to use this same structure to build our next piece that uses double the distance here, so we don't want to have to rebuild everything when we can just, why reinvent the wheel when we can just roll it. Here we go. So now let's, that looks just about perfect. One little issue I'm noticing here is that because we have scaled this down, we're losing the impact of our loop slices here. So I'm just going to take these and delete them. Select each of these, and again run my loop slices at 2%, and that's going to make this one taper down towards that and keep my spacing nice. Let's go down to this piece, and we just need to select the middle, shift up arrow, and cut. And we've got our holes created. So let's go back over to our mesh here, and I'm going to take these. I'm going to copy them because again we can reuse, and then I'm just going to paste those in. Select this edge, and bridge. Oops, looks like that one needs to have the direction reversed. And this edge, and this edge. Probably should have had symmetry on. That's all right. And bridge. Okay. All right, so now we've got this part ready to go. Let's go ahead and bevel in the holes here. So let's go in 0.6 as we've done before. This is the exact same thing we've done on other ones. So we'll go in 0.6 and then in another 100, and then we'll bevel down. 100, and go straight down. And it's really hard to see the depth on this, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it down 3.2, so kind of the typical height there. And then I'm going to bevel in another 100. And we'll select these two, run our loop slices, and there we have it. One thing that we will have to do here is we're going to need a weight map, because the slanted edge on these has this kind of more grainy texture, so it's going to have a little bit of a bump that we're going to want to add on later. And actually also, sorry, get ahead of myself, let's go ahead and delete these from our UV. So we'll go over to the UV, choose our logo bump, delete our UVs. Now I got a nice clean set there. Okay, so I'm going to create this weight map here. Let's go weight map, new map, and we'll call this slant bump. And let's go over to our vertex map mode. I'm just going to get all this stuff in here. Go all the way out to that edge. Shift W, and just drag that up to 100%. We'll be able to use that weight map as a mask for our bump. So we'll add on a bump map, mask it with this for these slanted pieces. All right, so that one's looking ready. Let's go ahead and go to item mode, and we will save our preset. Two slant. There are ones that slant down. I don't have any in this set, but just in case, I'm going to do slant up, so I know that's angling towards the upside. And click OK. Check over my layout here, and yep, there it is. Perfect. So now let's hide this one, show this one. Oops. Or rather, show that one. It has the piece that we need here. And I'm just going to select all of this area here, scale it out, and then we'll have everything pretty much built in. We'll just need to add in some loop slices and fit everything into place, and we should be just about set here. So let's go ahead and do that. I go to polys, select this loop, and that was not going to work. So let's go back here to our side view, and I'm just going to drag select all of that. There we go, perfect. One thing I'm noticing is we may end up with an issue of scale here around this rim. but we'll be able to adjust that. So let's go ahead and first scale this action center set to element. Click on this edge here. We could also set to origin since that part is right on the middle. I'm going to scale out 200%. Here we go, slowly but surely. All right, good deal. And yeah, and actually this will work out well because we can see that we have the same difference going on our slant here. So I'm just going to select all this. Select all the way up to this edge, and then we'll go up here to the lip. I'm going to scale, go to an automatic action center, and we're going to scale this part up 200% too. Actually, no, it's not going to take 200. Sorry. I'm going to check here my side view, and we're just looking for that even angle. So we want this edge down here to align with that edge. Don't be fooled here by this edge. So actually here, let's do this. Let's get out of sub-D. Make it a lot easier to check here. Actually, looks like it's a little more even in sub-D. That's okay. So we'll scale out. And we want this edge here. Let's go to the top view. This thickness to align with that thickness. Another way to look at this is that we're looking for 45-degree angles coming off of here, so you can use the stair step look as a guide, and that gets to be just right. Oh, there we go. So now we got a diagonal. We're set there, and it looks like we might need to adjust our bottom there just a little bit. So I'm going to go to my Move tool, Linear Action Center on the Z. We'll just pull this down to even that out. We'll subdivide again. There we go. So now we have this ready. There's some divots in here, but we'll create those in just a second. All right, so with this piece here, we have the same kind of deal where we have 3 loop slices down each of these. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab these outside ones, run loop slices. Before I do that, yeah, that's fine. I'm going to run loop slices down each of those, uniform, loop slice down that one, drop our fall off there, and we don't need that going on anymore. Now let's go back over to our mesh layer here, and you can see we've done some weirdness to this, obviously. So what I may want to do is just start with these again. So I'm going to take these, copy them, go in here and paste. I'm just going to get rid of these. That way we're going to end up with a better beginning here. So I'm going to grab these and move them out 8 millimeters. And move out another copy 8 millimeters. All right. And now the difference here in between this one and the other one is that there's kind of this box that's connecting these all together here, and we kind of want to create an island here anyway, so this will actually be pretty advantageous design wise. So let's go ahead and I'm going to grab this edge. Let's turn my X symmetry back on here. Grab this edge, this edge, and this edge, and this edge, this edge, and the last edge. Go ahead and bridge those. Okay. And now we'll grab this one, and this one. And let's turn our symmetry off or else it won't let us bridge. And just to speed up our selection, I'm going to go ahead and turn our symmetry back on. We'll get this, this, and that. Turn off our symmetry and bridge again. Okay. And now we actually want to also attach from kind of the midway down point here. I'm going to attach it to the other side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these. I'm just going to run a single loop slice down those. well, let's see, actually, I take it back. Those are going right at the base here, so I'm going to hold off until I've got these the right height before I do that. So let me go ahead here and fill that with a poly. Now we have these loop slices here, so I'm going to run loop slices down that and down that. So now I should have an even amount here. So 36 edges now. I think I remember that being right. So let's go down to this piece here. Now we need to select this whole intersection here. So let's go to polygons. And we might be able to get away with just selecting the middle there. Well, pretty close. So let's get all this. There we go. And, oh, sorry, we don't want to cut that out yet. So what we need to do is we need to align our other piece to that first. So let's go up here to this and go to my side view. Again, I just want to get these vertices right down there. Set our action center, oops, to auto, snapping to geometry, and constrain to background. Remove tool, and there we go. So that part's ready. Okay, and let's see here. Let's unsubdivide and see what we have. Okay, now I want to keep this edge right here because this edge is running right at the bottom, and this is where I want to bridge together those pieces. So I'm going to leave that this time. And actually, I'm going to leave everything here because I'm going to run loop slices after I attach my geometry here. So let's do this. Let's grab this whole section here. And I don't want to just delete this because if I do that, it's going to delete my my edge here. So what I'm going to want to do is actually attach this and then do that so that we have some buffer geometry around the edges that will take care of that. So let's go over to our other layer here again. And I'm just going to select, get a good view on this so I can see which one it is. Select the middle. There we go. And cut that out. I'll move back here to this one. And we'll, I'm going to copy it just in case I need it later. Never hurts to copy instead of cut. You can always delete the open layer when you're done. So I'll select that. We're at 36 edges. And we should be at 72 edges. Perfect. We'll run our bridge tool. Click. Looks like we need to reverse that direction again. Okay. And we remember that we did need loop slices here, but we'll add those in a second now. So what I'll do is I'm going to go select through here, and I'm going to do the same thing on each section here. Let's get all those, cut those out. And let's turn our symmetry on so at least we can get this side knocked out together. So deselect the top and the bottom. Bridge. Oh, sorry. Get ahead of myself. Got the wrong one deselected. Let's select the loop. And what we want to do is bridge from this side to that side. So in order to do that, it's actually going to require a little bit more work, but that's okay. Not too much more work. So I'm going to deselect the whole bottom chunk here. That will give us open area to bridge to when we get underneath there. So let's go ahead and bridge that together. And that's working. And then I need to run loop slices through here. And they're not as tight on the other side, but I do want them to be tight here so that I get a nice crisp attachment. Okay. And this is going to look a little weird until we get it bridged, but that's okay. So I'm going to select this section here and deselect you, so our edge points there, and we'll run bridge, click, and that'll attach that. And then let's select this whole section. Well, if I can get my hands on it, get my mouse on it, that is. I need to go around to the underside here and see this geometry. Might have a little bit overlapping. There it is. So get all that. And it's just a matter of finding my endpoints. There's that one. There's that one. That should be right. We'll go ahead again and bridge. Yep. There we go. Let's do the same thing through here. Deselect all this stuff and those. And let's turn our symmetry off so we can actually run the bridge here. Bridge. In with the loop slices. Again with the loop slices. And we'll go ahead to the underside here. Let's start on this more difficult side. Select that one and that one. Should have 3 on each side, which I do. So again, bridge, click. And sorry if we get a little lumpiness here because we're going to tighten that all up momentarily. So let's go here, deselect you, bridge, click. All right, now we move on to this last one. So this section, deselect the bottom areas. It's kind of a common thread for bridging pieces together. You want to leave yourself a buffer of not just the edge that's still going to be open, but also an extra edge above that. And that way you can match up your loops here. So let's go ahead here, bridge that together, and that we have more control over this. Like I couldn't run these nice loop slices here to sharpen this up if I had done it another way. So this works out really nicely. And again, let's go to this side here to start. Select the edges here, deselect. No, that one. Deselect this one, if I can get to it. That and bridge. Good. Deselect this one and this one, bridge, and we're set there. So let's run loop slices on. We'll have to have one on the outside. One on the inside. And then we'll probably want to run a new set along here. Except we don't really need the top one, so I'll go ahead and just grab this guy and delete it. Alright, so there we go. That's a nice look there. Oh, what we do have left is we do need to insert some little divots here. Oh, sorry, and not quite as far done as I thought. I'm going to get these guys here. Bevel in 0.6, bevel in 0.1, bevel down, and I'm going to go down 3.2. Well, this way I can see that the outer edge is definitely smaller, or farther down, pardon me. So, and then 3.2. And then we're going to bevel in 0.1 again. And then I'm going to deselect these two, grab these guys. I'm going to move these down another 3.2 so that they're kind of all the way down there. That's looking a lot more accurate. So now I'll just go in here, grab these guys, run our loop slices. Now that's set, so let's have a look at that. Okay, so let's go ahead and check our underside here. And actually, sorry, let's get rid of our UVs. Oops, looks like we have these guys did not get beveled in. There we go. So now I'm going to get all these. Oops. Actually, you know what? Take it back. That's not what I needed to do. I needed to grab these two loops on both of these, move those down 3.2 because it looks like they did not get selected when I moved everything else down. There we go. Now it looks much more appropriate. So let's grab all of these guys. And I'm just going to go all the way up to the outer edge, make sure I get everything there. Then we'll go to UVs, edit, and delete those UVs. Clean that up. Good. And let's go to this bottom side here. So I'm going to take these pieces here, and I'm going to select just, these are just going to act as kind of stand-in geometry. So I'm just going to copy those. Let's go to a new mesh, paste those. And I'm done with this now, so I can go ahead and cut that out. And what I want to do is move these over. Oops. These over. Oh, turn off my snapping. There we go. Move these over 8 millimeters. And then I'm going to move them down. Probably 6.4 is where I think these ought to go. No, take it back. Go down all the way, so 9.6. Somehow that doesn't seem right. Oh, well, yeah. No, take it back. We are getting a little slight overlap there, and that's what we're concerned about here. So we create a little divot here that will take up the slack on that and kind of flatten that out. So let's do this here. We're going to need this circle. So I'm going to grab these, shift up arrow, and then I'm going to delete what's left. So I'm going to cut that out. And then we're also going to want this to divide itself down the middle. So I'm going to rotate. I'm going to turn on my X symmetry, so I'll be rotating each one. And then I'm just going to snap it over one rotation. And this way I can run my slice tool, my edge slice, and that will divide that in half. And now I have better geometry to use here. All right, so let's grab those. Actually, I need to move those down even more, because they're going to snap to that background. So let's turn geometry snap on, constrain to the background. And we'll just draw that up. Flip those over so that they're facing the right way. And then we're going to delete those UVs because we don't need any UVs on those. Alright, so now we just have to attach this geometry to this geometry. Unfortunately, we already have the groundwork laid. Since we had run even loop slices all the way around, we have this part ready. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Go back over to this mesh layer. Cut this, paste it in here. Oops, looks like perhaps I had selected not quite the right the right section to cut here. Let's go back and fix that. So I did this one. There we go. And we'll cut that out. And let's try this again. Cut that. Switch to here. Paste it in. Gosh, I really am losing my mind here, aren't I? In the wrong direction. And if you're watching this, you're probably thinking, no, you've gone the wrong direction again, man. Let's make sure we kind of have those in the background, which probably would have been a good idea in the first place. It's not looking right to me here, so let's go ahead. You can see that edge overlapping there. So I cut this out. And we're just not quite getting that. So let's do this. Let's just take these, or my move tool, set my action center to selection so it will align with that surface. I'm going to slide these down a little. Now we're going to cut them. And that was too much. Lovely. Let's move them back a little. There we go. Alright, so now let's grab these. So cut, paste. Finally, you say. Let's attach that to there. Bridge tool. Reverse the direction to clean that up. I'm getting a little bit of the swirl here, but that's okay because it's going to be better to have that swirl and get a midpoint to actually work with here, so we're not going to worry about it. What I want to do here is I'm going to take this entire section, I'm going to bevel it. I'm just going to come in a tiny bit. Something like, I don't know, 50 so really small, or even less. Okay, and now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab this part, so this bottom half, run my scale tool, set my action center to element, and then my axis to auto. I'm going to click on that edge, and I'm going to flatten that down. I'm going to take this part here, and this is why we created this bevel. We can run our loop slice, and we'll be set there. Now the only issue that we're going to have here is this section right here. This edge is going to give us some problems, so we'll move our way out to there. And into there. And actually here, we can go all the way to the middle point here and avoid any additional geometry. I'm going to go ahead and, sorry, not edge bevel, I want to do edge extrude. And we'll go at 50 here. Actually, let's go at 100 just to make it not overly crisp. That's working. Now what we have to do here is we have a little bit of cleanup to do. And we can see that we have a triangle here, and then we have an n-gon there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this point over to that point, and we'll run vertex join. Okay, and our two edges will get joined up there. So now we have these running around as quads. We do have this one edge in here, which just to see, I'm not sure if this is going to work, but go ahead and get this stuff all the way into center. We may be able to get rid of this middle edge. I think it's going to affect our, yeah, it does. It affects that a little too much for my taste. Yeah, definitely. So we're just going to leave that in. A couple of tries there are definitely not going to kill us. And if you think they are, you can run a loop slice around here. Set it to 1. Now you've got quads here. You can switch direction. Created a high valence point here, but that's okay because again it's running on a flat surface. So let's check all this. What I want to do here though is I'm going to select all of this, make sure I don't have any of that in my UV, yeah, which I do, so that's good. Check that, delete UVs. Yeah, looks like we're good now. Let's go over and have a look at this. It's looking pretty darn good. Alright, so there's that one. Let's go ahead and select it. And we will save out our item preset. And this is 3-2 slant up. Check our layout. There it is. And now, folks, we are rounding the home stretch with just a couple of pieces left. We'll be ready to texture and assemble these pretty darn soon. Thanks. See you in the next video.